friends, welcome back to the Avocado Toast Budget, where we teach millennials and Gen Zers how to pay off debt, invest, save, and how to finally feel more confident with money. So today we are talking about my journey from being $20,000 in credit card debt to credit card debt free and set to retire early. I am sharing all of my tips and tricks with you and walking you through exactly how I was able to do it so that hopefully you can get out of credit card debt as well. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and also push that little notification bell. That way you get notified every single time that I upload. And if you enjoy this video, please remember to hit that like button. It really boosts this video to the top of the YouTube algorithm and helps more people find this content so that more people can feel confident and secure with money. I have tons to share with you guys today, so let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I did in order to start paying off credit card debt was consolidate and refinance my loans. Honestly, for me, this is one of the biggest steps that I took toward paying off my credit card debt. It cut my interest in half, and it just made it so much easier for me to tackle all of that debt. So in case you're wondering, you can refinance your credit cards two different ways. The first way is that you can refinance it toward a personal loan. Oftentimes, personal loans might have lower interest rates than what your credit card is offering, so this can really cut down the time it takes you to pay off your credit card debt and also how much you end up spending in the long run. The two places that I refinanced with were Upstart and Lending Club, and I love both of them. If you are concerned that you don't have a good enough credit score in order to qualify for a refinance, I would definitely check out Upstart because they take into account more than just your credit score. It doesn't affect your rate to check out what offers that they have for you. You just have to go on the website, choose how much that you want a loan for, however much is going to pay off your credit card debt, put in some information about yourself, including your age, your employment status, any history that you've had with education, and then they are going to go out and search for the best offers for you. This is why I love places like Upstart and Lending Club, because they compare rates from multiple different lenders, making it so easy for you to figure out what is the best offer available to you. A couple things to keep in mind when you are refinancing is that there are fees that come along with it. So make sure that the deal that you are getting with your refinanced loan is enough to offset those fees, because you don't want to end up paying more just to refinance for a slightly better offer if you're going to pay more in the long run. Another thing that I always recommend everyone do, I recommend that you go to Credit Karma's credit simulator. That way you can see a good estimate of what this decision is going to do to your credit. Personally, for me, it boosted my credit to refinance my credit cards, but that might not be the case for everyone, so double check to make sure the impact that that's going to have on your credit score. The second option for refinancing is to refinance to a 0% APR credit card. Now, I have tons of questions from people asking me, how is this possible? Is this really even a thing? So let me explain to you guys exactly what that looks like. If you are looking to refinance from one credit card that has a high APR, which is your annual percentage rate, your interest rate, to a 0% APR credit card, there are some things that you should know. Make sure that you qualify for this balance transfer before going through with the whole process. Double check with your current credit card lender and double check with the credit card lender that you plan on using. You don't want to get that ding to your credit score for no reason if you end up not being qualified for it. It is possible to transfer your balance from a high interest credit card to a 0% APR credit card, because sometimes in order to entice you to want to sign up for a credit card with a credit card company, they will offer a 0% APR introductory offer. This is usually 12 to 18 months where you get 0% interest rate on all of the purchases that you put on that card. So one way to take advantage of this is if you are eligible for a balance transfer from whatever credit card debt you have now with your credit card lender over to this new one for that 0%. Just keep in mind, you want to make sure that you can pay off that debt in the 12 to 18 months before the interest rate starts to rack up. And again, make sure that you are qualified for this. This is going to probably take a few phone calls to your current lender and the lender that you are looking at, but it is so important for you to do before you make this decision. If refinancing or a balance transfer is not something that is an option for you, that is okay. There are still ways for you to tackle your credit card debt, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys were informed that those two possibilities are an option for you to look out for. Whether you choose to refinance or not, These tips are going to be really important for you to start paying off that credit card debt. Number 2, stop using your credit card whenever you are paying off that debt. I love credit cards now. I definitely think that they have a place in your personal finance portfolio, but I think it is really important when you are first starting to pay off that credit card debt that you stop using your credit cards all in all. But chances are, if you're just coming out of credit card debt or just trying to make your way out, you don't know how to use credit cards efficiently just yet. And it's not something that is that big of a deal that you need to worry about it right now. So therefore, I say just stop using them. If you want to make sure to keep it open and active, just put one recurring monthly bill on there a month that you have set to auto pay in full every single month, and don't use it for any other expenses. One caveat to this is I definitely do not recommend that you close that account because that can have a really negative impact on your credit score, but I do think that it is important to no longer look at that as an active card that you are using on a day-to-day basis. Instead, just switch to cash or debit card for now, and then later when you are credit card debt-free, you can come back and start taking advantage of the rewards that credit cards have to offer. Take it from someone who's been there. I would not have been as deep into credit card debt as I was if after I refinanced the first time, I stopped using my credit card. I would refinance my credit card, get it down to a zero balance, and then swear that I was going to change my ways, do things differently, and then inevitably I would just rack that balance back up again, and then I'd have to take another personal loan to pay it off. So trust me, your best bet is to stop using your credit card for now. Because just remember, credit card rewards are only rewards if the credit card companies aren't reaping the benefits from you from the interest. Number 3, know that your available balance on your credit card is not extra income to fall back on, and it's definitely not an emergency fund. Now, this might sound like a no-brainer, but it was definitely not a no-brainer for me. One of the reasons that I kept cycling back into credit card debt is because I viewed my credit card limit as extra spending money or something that I could fall back on rather than what it really was, which was high interest debt. So the best thing for you to do is to pretend like that credit limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist. The limit does not exist.
So that leads me into number 3. Make sure that you have an emergency fund. I am a big advocate for the fact that your emergency fund should be more than $1,000, especially if you are in debt. I don't have an exact amount that I give my listeners, but I do think following the 3 to 6 month rule is good for most people. Take into account what are your expenses, how stable is your income. If you are a single parent with multiple children who rely on you, I definitely think that you should have more in your emergency fund than if you have multiple incomes coming in, or you're a college student with no one relying on you financially except for yourself, and you have pretty minimal expenses. Of course, everyone is different. What everyone needs to feel comfortable and to feel safe and secure with their money is going to be different, but make sure that you have a decent size emergency fund that is going to stop you from going back into debt. An emergency fund is the first thing that across the board I always recommend to everyone. Whether you're in high interest credit card debt, whether you have student loans, whether you are going on vacation next month, I still think that it is so important for you to establish that emergency fund just in case anything happens. Number 4 is to start budgeting. To be honest, looking back now, it's really not a surprise to me that I got into the amount of debt that I had. I had no budget set up. I had no idea of the difference between how much I was making and how much I was spending. And looking back, knowing what I know now, I know that I was definitely in the red all of the time, meaning that I was spending way more than I was making, and that's why I was going so quickly into credit card debt. At the time, my income was extremely variable, yet my spending never changed. Oh. The sun has come out. I honestly believe that in order to tackle credit card debt, you need a budget that works for you. Personally, I use YNAB. I will link to a video up here showing you how to get started with YNAB if that is something that you are interested in. And down below, I have a link for your first 2 months free with YNAB. They are the best budgeting app by far, in my opinion. They are one of the biggest reasons that I was able to get out of debt, and I absolutely love them. But no matter what budgeting method you decide to go with, make sure that it is something that you can stick to and it is realistic and made for your life. Number 5 is to decide on a debt repayment plan. There are 2 main ways for you to tackle your debt that we'll go over today. The first is the debt snowball. With the debt snowball, you take the smallest debt that you have and you throw any extra money that you have toward that one. The premise behind this is that it keeps you motivated to keep paying off debt by getting that quick reinforcement from paying off a debt in full. All your other debts, you just pay the minimum on until that is paid off. And then you move on to the second smallest. You keep doing this until all of your debts are paid off in full. The second one is the debt avalanche, and this is the one that I recommend for the majority of people. With the debt avalanche, you list out all of your debts from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. You are going to pay the minimums on all of your debt payments except for the one with the highest interest. The one with the highest interest is the one that you want to tackle first, because this way you end up saving the most money and the most time in the long run. To be perfectly honest, it doesn't really matter which one you use as long as you see yourself sticking to it and as long as something that is sustainable for the long run, because chances are you're not going to pay off your debt overnight, so it needs to be something that you can commit to for a while. Number 6 is to find more ways to throw money at your debt. Now, I want to preface this with a few things. I totally understand that picking up a side hustle, finding ways to make extra income, it's just not possible for everyone, and that is totally okay, and this is not a required part of paying off your credit card debt. But if you are able, if you have extra time or extra resources, I think that it can be so awesome for you to find ways to throw a little bit more money at your debt. That way you can pay it off faster and your money can start doing other things for you. Personally, there were a couple different ways that I made some extra income. I sold different clothes that I had around the house that I no longer used on Poshmark. This made us almost $2,000 that I was able to throw at my debt. Some other ways that you could look into making money: pet sitting, babysitting, door dashing, or Instacart. These are very common side hustles, and I have more about that linked down below in the description. However, I think it is really important when you are looking at starting a side hustle to find balance in your life. You don't want to have to give up everything that you love in order to pay off debt. This should just be seen as some extra income to help you kind of boost your way toward paying off that credit card debt. So make sure that it is something that works for your life and your personality. Okay friends, that is my entire journey with paying off $20,000 of credit card debt in a year. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and push that little notification bell. That way you're notified every single time that I upload, and you can continue to start to learn how to invest, save, and pay off debt and finally feel confident with money. I will see you guys next time. Bye.